Hey Trekkies, welcome to the very first ever Trek Rant and Walk, where I rant about Star Trek while walking around the city looking a little bit strange. So I started this video yesterday, but I ran into some problems with some sound issues because I bought a video microphone for my phone, but didn't have the right connection, so got that sorted out. So here we are doing this video again, but to you, it'll be like the first time, because it is the first time technically, since you'll be seeing it for the first time, and I'm going on and it doesn't matter. So basically what I wanted to do is I just wanted to start walking around and ranting about Star Trek, kind of vlogging and sharing my thoughts. I thought it would be fun, so we'll see how this goes. But today what I want to talk about is a beef that I have with some of the fan base. Now, this isn't a huge part of the fan base, but there's a small section of the fan base that believe that Troi crashed the Enterprise, and the reason she crashed the Enterprise was because she's a bad driver, and that she's a bad driver because she's a woman. First, I just want to address that's not the case. That's a really sexist attitude. So if you believe that, I really would encourage you to go think about it and try to examine why you're feeling that way, because it's really an outdated idea. And if you're a Star Trek fan, I hope you're not thinking about that, or thinking that way rather. So I wanted to say that little piece. But now let's talk about Troi crashing the Enterprise, which she didn't do. It wasn't her fault. She was in a bad situation. Riker was like, all right, we have 4 minutes before the core is going to breach. Actually, that's Geordi, not Riker, who said that initially. And Riker's like, all right, we got to evacuate. And okay, once the separation is complete, use impulse engines and get us out of here. So they separate the ship. Everybody's ready to go. And then Riker's like, all right, go to impulse. And Troi does what she's told. She goes to impulse and doesn't get very far before the warp core breaches, and they crash. And you know what happens in the movie, because that's the movie and that's how it works. So really, she did everything that she could. She followed all the orders. There was really nothing anyone could have done at that point to save the day and prevent the Enterprise D from crashing. I'm hearing rustling in the bushes, which is a little bit concerning. There's signs that say there's wild coyotes and don't come out here at night, and keep your dogs on a leash because they could get killed by the coyotes. So I'm a little concerned. But if you see this on YouTube, and if you're watching this right now, everything's fine. I'm okay. We're all cool. So anyways, back to the Enterprise D situation. So it wasn't her fault. She did everything she could when she was told to do it. And I really think even if Picard himself had been sitting in her position, the ship still would have crashed. So not her fault, really nothing she could do. But if we're talking about fault, let's examine who could have been at fault. And I'm going to do a more serious video, or rather a more extensive video on this down the road at some point. But just for this conversation, let's look at blame. Let's look at who might be responsible. So let's look at Geordi. Geordi is suspect number 1. In fact, everything happened in the movie because of him, at least because of the crash, or at least the crash rather, not the whole entire plot. But the crash happened because of him. He looked at the console, he saw the frequency of the shields and the Klingon sisters. They got that information, used it, and that's how it happened. And I'm sorry about the angle. I realize I'm looking at the sky a lot, and so you're seeing the sky, so I do apologize for that. So going back to Geordi, Geordi's the one that caused the ship to crash, basically. And when Geordi got back from being kidnapped, he should have said, hey, Dr. Crusher or Worf or Riker, Soren was really into my visor. He kept going on about it and how cool it was. Can you maybe check it out to make sure it hasn't been tampered with? Remember that other time I came back from shore leave, but it turned out it had actually been captured by the Romulans, and then they used my implants to control me, and I almost killed that person? So yeah, maybe check it out, and Worf, or Riker, just do me a favor, check it out and get back to me when it's done, okay? And again, I'm sorry, I'm not really used to this whole vlogging thing, and eventually I will get the hang of it. So that's the first thing I would have done, or that's the first person I think you should blame, is Geordi for not saying, hey, Worf or Riker, check it out, something's fishy. And let's talk about Worf. Worf, his whole job is security. He is the security chief of the Enterprise D. So when Geordi came back, he should have said to Riker or someone, hey, remember that other time that Geordi came back from a holiday and the Romulans used his implants to control him? Maybe we should check out his implants and maybe check out his visors just to make sure that Soren wasn't tampering with it. Because Geordi did say that Soren was really quite impressed with the visor and was really examining it for quite a bit. So that's another person that should have done it. It should have been Worf. And let's talk about Riker. I'm going to do a whole video/podcast on Riker. I do love the character, but he has his flaws. And I know I'm saying this fully acknowledging that I am a Riker apologist, so I really do want to get into the whole Riker situation down the road. But in this situation, Riker should have just been like, hey, Worf, can you go check out Geordi? Remember that time he came back from holidays where it turned out he'd actually been captured by the Romulans and became an assassin? Maybe just do a little bit of a check on his implants, check out the visors, make sure that Soren didn't do anything fishy, okay? We want to be very safe. So those are all things that should have happened, and excuse the traffic, it's very loud. And I will yammer. I'm not saying anything useful right now, and I might leave this in, might take it out, but it's a vlog, so I'm kind of curious to see what's going to happen. And I'm not saying anything useful, as I said. Yada yada yada, bingo bingo, bango bingo, bingo bingo, bingo bango, bingo bango, and we should be clear of the traffic in 5.8 seconds if I'm being precise, and that's actually not true at all because I'm not being precise. But it just sounds like something that Data would say, if you know what I mean. And there's a golf course. People are golfing right now, so the weather should be okay. It should hold up. No coyotes. I'm not going to get killed. Hopefully not, because that would be embarrassing. I definitely do not want to get mugged while talking about Star Trek, because that would be very, very strange. So it's a bit quieter now. We're now heading into the park, and I can continue with this little rant/tirade about who's responsible for the Enterprise decrashing, and it's not Deanna Troi, okay? So don't blame her. So yeah, as I was saying, now that we're clear, I can talk again. As I was saying, yeah, Riker should have really been like, hey, Worf, can you go check out Geordi and make sure he's okay and make sure he hasn't been tampered with? Or just call up Beverly. Hey, Beverly, when you're checking out Geordi and you're giving him the full examination, can you just do a quick scan of his implants and make sure that Soren hasn't tampered with them? That might be a good thing to do. Okay, because remember what happened last time when he was the whole assassin and he came back from Ryza and all that stuff happened? You remember that, right? So Bev, just take a look, let me know, and let Geordi know too, okay? Because obviously he didn't do this on purpose, but we got to take every precaution that we can. So it really should have been one of those three people that said, hey, we got to check out Geordi, or Geordi himself, as I said already, that should have said, hey, could someone check me out, make sure that nothing's going on? So really, there's just some balls that were dropped and some things that happened that shouldn't have happened. And I get that a big part of the movie was the Enterprise decrashing, and as far as I'm concerned, that's the main attraction of the movie. I mean, obviously Kirk and Picard is supposed to be the main thing that you're into and that you're excited about, but it wasn't that great unless you wanted to see them crack eggs and ride horses, which was kind of interesting. But the main reason that you would actually enjoy the movie, at least the main reason I enjoy the movie, is the Enterprise decrashing. So I get that decisions had to be made to allow that situation to happen for the plot to progress. So I get the whole reasoning from a production film point of view. But in universe, it kind of makes the characters look a little bit incompetent, like they really should have figured out what was going on before it happened. And I was rewatching the episode Measure of a Man, TNG Season 2, where they have to prove that Data is a human and not a piece of property, or not human, but is alive, and that he is a sentient being, so not a piece of property. But in that episode, they explained that anytime a ship is lost, the captain has to go through a court-martial. So I could only imagine the court-martial being like, okay, well, or whoever's presiding over that saying, well, what happened? How did the ship crash? Oh, well, the Klingons were able to match our shield frequency. Well, how did they get access to the shield frequency information? Well, when Geordi came back, Geordi was kidnapped, and then Soren, the person behind all of this, put something on his visor to allow it to transmit to the Klingons that the Klingons were able to hack into. Oh, okay. Did you guys check out Geordi when he came back? No. Well, how come you guys didn't do that? Hey, Picard, what do you think? Picard, why did that happen? Oh, I'm sorry. I was on the planet at the time talking to Soren, so I wasn't really there. That's kind of what I imagined the court-martial being like. And basically, the people in the court-martial would say, you guys are a little bit incompetent. Do you really need an Enterprise E? Like, you've already destroyed the D. You don't really have a good reason, and now I'm centering myself again. And again, I'm not sure why I keep going up into the sky like this. It's very strange. So we're back. We're here. People are looking at me and they're like, oh, I don't care about Star Trek. What are you talking about, huh? What are you doing? And I don't know why I'm doing this weird Brooklyn accent. I don't even know if it's Brooklyn, to be honest. It's an accent from New York. And that's all I want to say about that. So, yeah, my whole rant for the day, and the main point I was trying to make, that it wasn't Troi's fault. Troi has a lot of problems in the series. She's not written very well. Her usefulness at times is in question, again, because of the way she's written, not the way she's acted, nothing to do with the actor, but just not very well written. So there's a lot of faults, there's a lot of things you can say about Troi, but you cannot blame her for crashing the Enterprise D. So that's all I want to say. Rant over. I hope you liked it. Let me know what you thought. This is, again, first time vlogging, so there's some kinks to be worked out, and I do apologize for that. But let me know what you thought. Let me know if you like this. Let me know if you like the style. I hope to do a lot more of these where I just rant about various things in the Star Trek universe, hopefully for your amusement. And I will walk around the city while doing that. And it's relaxing. I get out, I get some air. Maybe I'll take some pictures after. But I always feel better when yelling about Star Trek, which is the name of this channel. So thank you for watching the very first ever Trek Rant and Walk. We'll see you next time, and make sure to hit that subscribe button and also check out the podcast too. Thank you.